Welcome to PricePlow.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, today on the PricePlow podcast, I have the privilege to speak with one of the greatest bodybuilders of the modern era, Branch Warren. Branch competed from '92 as a teenager through 2015 and probably has more trophies than he can fit into his house from bodybuilding competitions. He's a two-time Arnold Classic champion and has won practically every other bodybuilding show under the sun with the exception of Mr. Olympia, where he's placed second. He's one of Texas's most decorated faces in the fitness and bodybuilding community, and Branch, as an athlete for GASP, is one of the most prestigious line of bodybuilding apparel on the market and also has his own supplement line with Black Skull Supplements. Branch also recently launched his latest endeavor, which is a no-nonsense beef jerky called WICKED CUTZ, which we're going to talk about in more detail later on. Branch is married to Trish Warren, and the two of them have a lovely daughter, Faith, and a couple of dogs and some horses. And so, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, it's my privilege to introduce to the show Branch Warren. Branch, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Matt. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely, brother. Big time fan of yours, and it's funny how this happened. So my coach, who's prepping me for the Heart of Texas right now, Jor Erez, said that he was pals with you, and in passing, I thought to myself, well, maybe they had worked out together or something of that nature, but I think it was later on that evening, he texted me your number and said, yeah, text Branch, and let's see if we can get him on the show to talk about what he's doing. So, man, that was a week ago, and here we are.
Yeah, Jor's a good friend of mine. I met him almost 25 years ago. I think I met him, and he was literally like fresh off the boat. You know, he's from Israel, and pretty incredible success story. I think he came over here with $700 in his pocket, and now he's a pilot for Southwest and flies jet aircraft, and has done very well for himself. So, you know, I think he was a bodybuilder. That's the original reason he came here, and to pursue his bodybuilding career. And I remember he came into the gym one day and said, "Hey, I'm gonna be a pilot. I'm gonna fly jets for Southwest." And we all kind of laughed. We're like, "Yeah, shut up, man. Do your set." So, you know what? He went and enrolled in flight school the next week, and he made it happen, man. So, been very good friends with him, and for a long time, and him and his beautiful wife and daughter.
Yeah, well, I'm glad he was able to put us in contact with each other. Obviously, you're a household name for bodybuilding, especially over the past 20 years. I mean, I think when people think of bodybuilding, Branch Warren's one of the names that comes to their mind. Especially as Texas guys, you sort of epitomize Texas bodybuilding to us. And so, man, just having you here, it's an honor. But Branch, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and your upbringing? And the reason I ask this is because oftentimes with success stories, we find that maybe a person's parents or the way that they were brought up ultimately influenced how successful they were in the future. And I'm curious to see if that applies to you.
I think that's 100% true. You know, I think your upbringing and your parents, your childhood has a huge determining factor on the person you become when you grow up. And I think it's not necessarily whether you had a good childhood or bad childhood, it's how that child deals with that as they become an adult. And, you know, because if you come from an abusive family, then you can either grow up and become just like that, or you can grow up and be like, you know what, I'm not going to live my life and treat my family like that, you know, as an example. So I think I grew up in West Texas, small town. You know, we had a couple of stoplights in the town. You know, our closest neighbor was several miles away. I grew up on a large cattle ranch, and you know, from the time I was very young, you know, just working and doing chores was just part of it. You know, it's just I didn't know any better. You thought everybody grew up like that, and you know, I went to a very small school. I think that the two best looking girls in my school were my cousins. You know, but that was just the way it was, man. So there wasn't a whole lot to do, man. As you got older, you know, I think for fun, the only thing you did was you drink beer and you went hunting. And that's about all there was to do out there. So, and of course, you know, you worked, man. We had horses and we raised cattle and, you know, farmed and all that. So, you know, I learned at a very young age that hard work was just a way of life. And when I was in high school, we moved to the Dallas-Fort Worth area and went to a much larger school. I think there was like 600 kids in my class. So, you know, I loved to play football. I wasn't stupid. You know, I knew, hey, going to this school. But I came from a school we barely had enough guys to have a team. To school, you had to make the team.
Did y'all play six-man at the West Texas school?
No, we had enough for a regular, you know, 11-man team. But I played the whole game. Most of us, we didn't have too many substitutes. So, I played, I was a fullback and on offense, and I was a linebacker on defense, and I think I was on kickoff and receiving. So, man, I played almost the whole game. So that's just the way it was, man. So, I came here and I was like, hey, I got to get bigger and get stronger if I'm gonna have a chance of making this team. So I didn't have enough money for membership. Back then membership was probably $15, $18 a month or something. But I didn't have any money, and so I met this kid in the neighborhood, and he had a membership at this local gym. So he would go in, open the back door up, let me slip in. So just went on all summer. So I went in. I went there so much that finally one day I just walked in the front with him, and they just waved me in. I walked in. I was like, cool. So in the process of that, I met a bodybuilder. I'd never seen a bodybuilder before. I'd seen a magazine or two, but I hadn't never actually met a bodybuilder. And this guy was 280, 290 pounds, and national level competitor. And I didn't know a guy could look like that. And of course, he was the biggest, strongest guy we'd ever met. And me and my friend, and he came up to me one day and he said, "Hey kid," he goes, "Why don't you let me show you how to work out right?" He goes, "I've been watching you. You don't know what you're doing." And we didn't. When we came in, our goal was to do every exercise in the gym. So every body part, every machine, every free weight exercise that we could do, and we weren't doing them right. We're just a couple 15-year-old kids in there messing around, and we think we're doing it right, but we don't have a clue. And I was like, "All right, I'll come in tomorrow." My buddy's like, "Man, you're gonna do it?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Dude, you're gonna die." I go, "Whatever." I said, "I'm gonna get big and buff. I'm gonna kick your ass and take your girlfriend." And so he didn't come. I went, and he was right. I died. I think I threw up 3 times during the workout. We did legs. That was my initiation into bodybuilding, even though I didn't realize it was going to turn into that. But yeah, he annihilated me, man. But I wouldn't quit. I go throw up, come right back and finish my set. And the next day was a repeat of the first day, and I did that all week. And the next week was the same thing. I just kept coming back, and he said, "All right, kid." He goes, "Come to me every couple of weeks. I'll write you up a new set of workouts, and just stick to them." I did it all summer, and I gained almost 20 pounds that summer just working out. He just told me, "Hey, eat more food." He really wasn't even telling me what to eat. Just try to eat as much steak and chicken and eggs as you can. I was like, all right. So I started doing that. Of course, the more you work out, plus you're a teenage boy, you're working out hard like that, your appetite increases exponentially. So my mother couldn't afford to feed me, so I went and got a job at a car wash detailing cars so I could buy extra food and help out with bills, and made the football team, started. And then fast forward to the next summer, I kept working out. I didn't, during football season, you can't work out like that. So when season was over, I was back in the gym training, and that summer he said, "Hey kid," he goes, "You ever think about competing? I'm 16 at this point." I was like, "No, not really." And he said, "Why don't you come to this competition this weekend and check it out and see what you think?" I said, "All right." So I went to him with this show, and saw what the junior division was like, and I was like, "Man, I think I can do this if I train for it." And he goes, "Well, man, there's a contest in the summer." He goes, "You got 3 months to train for it." He said, "You want to do it?" I said, "Yeah, let's do it." And he said, "All right, Monday I'll pick you up and I'm gonna take you to a real gym." I'm like, "Well, where the hell are we at right now?" He goes, "Man, this ain't a real gym." I'm like, "All right." So he picks me up Monday morning. We drive across town, and we pull up in front of this gym. It's got warehouse doors on it. The music's so loud you can hear it out in the parking lot. And I'll never forget, man, there was these 2 hot chicks in bikinis squatting in the parking lot. And I look inside and I walk in, and there's more big dudes than I've ever seen in my life walking around. And I remember thinking to myself, I just made it to the promised land. And so he said, he introduced me to this guy, owner of the gym. And he said, "Hey, this is this kid I've been telling you about. He wants to do this competition at the end of the summer." And so this guy's name was Brian Dobson, and he owned Metroflex Gym. He said, "Let me look at you." And he looked at me, and I said, "Hey, man," I said, "I want to do this show." I said, I don't have any money. I can't really afford to buy membership. I said, "But, I'll take the trash out, clean the place up for you, trade out, for a membership so I can, train here for this competition at the end of the summer." And he looked at me. He said, "I'll tell you what." He said, "If you represent the gym and you win, you don't got to buy membership." He goes, "If you don't win, then you can work it off." 26 years ago, and I still haven't bought a membership.
Well, And we're talking about the same Brian. I mean, I went to Metroflex for the first time with my brother 2 weeks ago. I had gone to Destination Dallas a few weeks before that, and I realized, okay, I need to stop working out at 24-hour fitness if I really want to push myself
Yeah.
to be the best. And went to Metroflex. Got to see Ronnie there. And for me, as a kid, that's seeing all your favorite athletes at one time. It's a big deal, right? And
Yep.
I mean, the bodybuilding world is small compared to other sports, but it doesn't matter. These are still the guys that you idolize whenever you go into the gym and whenever you're thinking about the physique that you want to develop. But would you say that at that age, whenever you competed at that show, that you knew that you had a good physique for bodybuilding?
I did not. I was very fortunate. The other part of that story. So my very first competition I trained for, Brian Dobson, trained us. Me, this guy Mark, and this guy Mark, his workout partner was none other than Ronnie Coleman. And so Ronnie wasn't pro yet, but he was still very much on his way to becoming the legend that he became. And so I was very fortunate. I couldn't have been in a better gym around a better group of guys than I was. And I didn't realize until later on in life that how fortunate I was to end up where I did at that specific time in history. And these guys, they let me train with them because I worked my ass off. I never complained. I learned real on. You don't ask questions. You just do what you're told. You do what they do, and give 100%. And whatever, no matter how bad it hurts, don't ever, ever, ever quit. Because if you quit, you ain't welcome to come back. And that was pretty much how I was raised on the ranch. So it wasn't nothing new to me. And so I just worked my ass off, and I'm like, it works for them, it'll work for me. And whatever they said, hey, do this, do it 10 times, I do it 10 times. They do it, you can't do it no more, I do it till I can do no more. And slowly but surely, I got stronger and bigger and stronger and bigger. And after taking a whole bunch of ass whoopings, I eventually got to the point where I started handing some out.
It's funny that you talk about that ranch work ethic. I grew up on a ranch over in Weatherford. I'm sure you know where that is.
Mm-hmm.
And that was similar story to you. That's what life was. On the weekends you were working, and if you weren't in school and if you weren't doing sports, you were doing something on the ranch because there's always something that needs to be done. And
Yes.
it installs a work ethic in you that you didn't know that you could have. At what point do you think that you realized that, okay, I have a shot to be a pretty good bodybuilder?
I know exactly when that point was. I was 18 years old. I went to the NPC Teenage National Collegiate Championships, and I won. I won the heavyweights, and I won the overall title. And Jay Cutler's actually won the heavyweights, and Caprice Murray, I think, won the middleweights. Another guy, Rodney St. Cloud, and I think Jeff Willett were all in the show. We all eventually became IFBB pros, and of course Jay went on to become 4-time Mr. Olympia. But I won the overall, and I remember I came back, and I was in my car driving to Metroflex on Monday. I flew back on Sunday after the show, and I'm driving to Metroflex on a Monday, and I told myself, man, I can do this, because at the time I was the first person from Metroflex to win a national level competition, and Ronnie hadn't quite. I think later that year he won the world championships and turned pro and went on, started his career. But at the time, I was the first one to win a national level competition. And, it's kind of I came to the gym and I was like, I can do this. And so, man, when I was 18, I mapped out my entire career. I knew exactly what I wanted to do, how I was going to do it. And I had long-term goals and I had short-term goals. And I knew right then, hey, I can do this. I can make a career out of it. And this is what I want to do. And I stuck to the plan.
And competing for as long as you did and reaching the levels of success that you reached probably doesn't come without some sacrifices along the way. I know that you had some decent injuries throughout your career. You want to dive into those a little bit and tell us how you overcame them?
Yeah, bodybuilding it's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle more than it is a sport, because I have a very good friend who played NFL for 8 years and had a great career, 4 years of college, and went on the NFL and had a great career. And he got out, he retired, and he wanted to bodybuild. And I remember he's doing his first competition, and he's like, dude, this is like, you can't get away from this crap, man. He goes, it's all day, every day. And I'm like, no, it's a lifestyle, because when he played ball, yeah, the practices were tough. The games were brutal, but they were fun. That's what he lived for. And he goes, but when you got to practice, you could drink a beer, eat a pizza, you could chill, do whatever. When season's over, you could chill for several months. And if we had to get back here, he said this, it's like you're under the gun 24/7. He goes, the freaking diet, man, just kicks your ass. And he goes, in you're training every day, you're doing cardio, you got posing practice, you got this, you got that. And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, it's all encompassing. And it's just it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. So yeah, so you make a lot of sacrifices. I made a lot of sacrifices from my teen years all the way through my entire career up until a couple years ago. A lot of things you sacrifice, man. To be a top level pro bodybuilder, if you're not, you're gonna become a self-centered, selfish person, because it's all about you. It's about your eating, your training. It's you all day,
And that takes a toll on your loved ones. It takes a toll on your spouse, on your family, because if they want to go out to a restaurant and you're stuck,
it does.
Either not eating or ordering a salad with grilled chicken and no dressing. That's
yeah,
just what you.
It's just like example. Me and my wife, like it would be Christmas parties or something going on, and the Arnold Classic was the last week of February or the first week of March. So I'm already into my prep for the Arnold. The last thing you want to do is go to some stupid Christmas party where people are drinking, eating stupid food, and all that, and stay out late. So and she competed too, so she understood. She was pro fitness, and but still, it ain't always sunshine and rainbows and unicorns. It's you sacrifice a lot, and Trish always put me first, and I think for the simple reason of just financial. It ain't fair, but it's a fact of life that men in sports make more money than women in sports do. There's a real big disparity in pay and compensation, and so if one of us had to do better, be focused on, and it was always going to be me, because there's no comparison as far as the financial benefit. And so she put me first, and I took a lot, and because for me to be my best, I had to be focused, 100% focused. And that's this sport, it's all about you. It's your body and how you look. And so you got to get your food in, you got to get your rest in, you got to train, you got to do cardio, you got to tan, you practice your posing. I mean, it's just it's an all day, every day thing, and it's you sacrifice a lot, man. So especially when you get married and then you start having kids, it becomes very challenging.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I mean, my wife and I, we don't even have a kid yet, but it's already challenging as we're prepping, because this will be my first show, and so she's getting to experience firsthand the, I guess, the lifestyle that accompanies the prep. But
if y'all can survive this, you're good. You ain't got to worry about it.
I hope so. So, what was your greatest memory from your competition days?
That's a tough one. I don't know. I would say I'll give you two answers to that. I think they're both equally important to me. The first was 2001, when I won the national championship, and I turned pro because when I was 18 years old, I decided, hey, this is what I want to do, and obviously the centerpiece of that is you got to win the turn pro. And back then it was very difficult. I think they gave out 5 pro cards at the nationals, the weight class winners, and the USA championships. There was one winner, the overall winner. That was the only way you could turn pro as a bodybuilder in the United States. So I won that, and got my pro card, and that was huge because it separated me from everybody else. And back then there wasn't a bazillion pros. When you got a pro card, you were one of very few, and it was hard to turn pro. So by the time you turn pro, you were a pro bodybuilder. You could step on a pro stage.
Right. And nowadays they hand out those pro cards like candy almost.
Yeah, so you don't see. I mean, look at the top 6 guys. They've been there forever. With the exception of maybe William Bomack got into it. Recently he's really improved, but he's been around for a long time. But he's been improving and making good gains. But it's you get guys that, I mean, look at my generation. We all lasted we were in the top 6 until we were in our 40s. There was no young blood coming up, and there's a number of reasons for that, but I'll touch on that later. But it was super hard, and so but the time you did turn pro, though, you were ready to be successful. I won my 3rd and 4th pro shows. I won, so and you just don't see a whole lot of that these days. But So yeah, that was a huge accomplishment, and that I'll never forget that night, and because it separates you from everybody else. And then at that moment, I realized, all right, I can actually my dream. I can actually start living my dream. And so after I won the nationals, that's how I would say, that's when my dream came true, and I started living it. So that was huge. And then I would say the second biggest moment was probably winning the Arnold Classic in 2012. It was I won it the year before, and I just come back from a devastating the 2011 Olympia I was training for, and I tore my quad off the bone walking out of a restaurant. Imagine that. And so had to have surgery, have it reattached, and I had 6.5 months to recover from this thing and get ready for the Arnold. And usually that ends your career. No one had ever come back successfully from that type of injury. So, all the critics and the self-proclaimed experts were seeing my demise. And I was sitting on the couch. I had surgery on a Monday, so this is Wednesday, 2 days post-surgery. And I looked at my wife and I said, hey, I'm going to do the Arnold Classic and I'm going to win this thing again. And she looked at me and she goes, you think you can do it? I go, yeah. And she said, all right. I remember she went in the kitchen. She started cooking food. She handed me a plate of chicken and rice. She goes, you're going to do the Arnold. You better start eating. And so that's where it began. The next Monday, 1 week post-surgery, I went back to the gym. And I came hobbling in the gym on crutches. And I remember Johnny Jackson, my workout partner, he goes, man, what the hell are you doing, bro? I said, I'm getting ready for the Arnold Classic. And he just looked at me and goes, man, fuck it. Let's do it. And we started training for it, man. So it was I had to learn how to walk. I'm talking about winning the Arnold Classic in 6 months, and I can't even walk. So I had to learn how to walk again, and then get to where I could bend my knee all the way, and then start training. So
What's crazy is I look at your pictures from that Arnold, and your legs look phenomenal. I don't think that many people had you not said that you had actually tore your quad, that many people would know that you ever even had an injury.
yeah, I didn't. It took a lot out of me. That's the most painful thing I've ever had to do in my life, physically. Mentally, it's hard because you're looking at your physique and you're just like, God dang it, man. Because your leg, I lost several inches on my leg, and you're in a race against time trying to get it back, and no one had ever done that before. And so it was mentally and physically, it was the hardest thing I'd ever had to do. And it wasn't until I was 30 days out from the show that I remember I trained, and I posed there at Metroflex, and I looked at myself and I was like, I can do this. I think I can do this and win. And from there on, it just got better and better. I was able to go and defend my title and win another one. And it just, sometimes in life, the worst things that happen to you actually turn to be blessings. And, I think looking back on it, it was a blessing. It's one of those moments where you find out what you're really made of. You find out if you do have what it takes, and it made me appreciate what I have. I don't think in life we really appreciate what we have until we lose it or we almost lose it, And
Definitely.
I watched my whole career flash before my eyes, and I wasn't ready to be done. I was at the peak of my career. I just won the Arnold Classic. I'd gotten second and third at the Olympia. The world was mine. Everything I worked for, it was finally right there before me, and I'm like, I'm not going to let this be taken away from me. I'm not going to let any event or anybody tell me when I'm done. I'm like, I'm going to be the one to tell me when I'm done. I'll make that decision. So able to, for me, I had to win. It was like I told my wife, I'm like, she goes, what if you get second or third? I go, complete failure. I was like, I have to win this. There was no option. And that's how I trained. Fortunately, that's how it turned out.
Right. Well, and it adds to the legacy of Branch Warren. And I think sometimes we need those moments in life to, I don't want to say re-spark the fire, but sort of, I guess, move us to be hungrier, to push forward, to push harder. And you there in the thick of your career, you had just won that show that last year, which is the second biggest show in the world. And it would have been very easy for some bodybuilders to pump the brakes and be content. But I think that showed your mettle and resolve just to go through, to prep anyway, win the show again. And it's just, again, it just adds to your already impressive legacy. So, Branch, you seem to be pretty busy these days. I know that you're doing or promoting 4 different shows in the United
Yes.
States, right? We just had the Branch Warren Classic in Houston, what was it, 1 or 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago, yeah.
Right. But not only that, you've got Black Skull. You're doing stuff with Gasp still, and now WICKED CUTZ. But Can you tell the fans how you're spending your time these days and how you're enjoying, well, I don't want to call it retirement, but let's call it post-competitive bodybuilding?
Yeah, I retired and got busier than ever. Go figure that. But no, it's I don't have. How am I spending my time? Working. That's how I'm spending my time. I have less free time now than I've ever had. We've got four sports expos and competitions we promote. The big one is in Houston, and we just had that June 30th. We had over 2,000 athletes in the show. 10 different events. Of course, NPC shows the centerpiece, and then we have a jiu-jitsu tournament, a CrossFit tournament, a CrossFit style tournament. We have powerlifting, we have strongman, we have professional bench press, we have arm wrestling. The list goes on and on. And of course, we have an expo. We had over 100 exhibitors there and booths set up.
Wow.
So it was very successful weekend. I think that was our 12th year to have it, and it's grown every year. So. I have one in Minneapolis. We had that back in just the first weekend in June, second week in June 9th, June 7th, I think, whatever it was. In Minneapolis, it was our second year. It tripled in size for this year, so we were very happy with that. It's not where we want it to be, but it's definitely in the right direction. And then September 22nd, I've got Chicago. Me and my partner, Mel Chancey, are putting on a competition there. So getting a great response for a first year show. And then October 27th, I've got the Texas Legends show in Dallas. So it's just basically a carbon copy of Houston. So, and if that isn't enough, then I have my own supplement line, Black Skull. We're in 13 countries, South America, Europe, Middle East, and we should be launching here in the States. We're going to actually be debuting at the Olympia in September, so in Vegas. So got a full line pre-workout. It's going to be awesome. Got a protein supplements, a pump product, BCAAs, so it'll be a complete hardcore bodybuilding line. And of course, I've been with Gasp now for probably 11 years, maybe, and got my own clothing line through Gasp. So it's doing very well. So I've been very, very thankful that Michael's kept me around this long. So it's been a great relationship. I just actually got back from Sweden the month before last. I was there for about 10 days. Doing a little tour in Stockholm and visiting the international headquarters, and had a great time. And then my latest project is WICKED CUTZ. So I own WICKED CUTZ. Me and my partner Scott James. Scott James used to own BSN. He was the founder of BSN back in the day, and so we partnered up to do this. It was his idea as far as the jerky, and I thought about it. I was like, you know what, that might be a winner. Because, with sports nutrition, it's such a small segment of the population that you're marketing towards. Is a niche. With beef jerky, turkey jerky, pork, all this stuff, who doesn't like jerky? So the more I thought about it, the more I liked it. So now we put it together and we launched 2 months ago, and going direct to consumer, direct to business, and it's going very well. It's a new challenge for me. Learning lots of new stuff. I had to immerse myself into, but you know me, I like a challenge, and so I'm very excited, and I come to the office every day, and I'm sure if you watch my Instagram stories, I'm always doing little stories here at the warehouse or at the office, so it's keeping me very busy.
Yeah, and you guys were kind enough to send us some samples a couple of weeks back of WICKED CUTZ, and
Yeah.
What I noticed is that there's a lot of beef jerkies on the market, and the majority of them are loaded with the added fats, carbs in the form of sugars, and tons of extra calories that, let's just say, most bodybuilders or people aspiring to, I guess, eat cleaner probably shouldn't be eating. And the first thing that stood out to me with WICKED CUTZ is that the label was so clean. Because we're talking about, I think it's 9 grams of protein, maybe 1 gram of carbs, no fats for a single serving. And when you look at a label like that, you think, well, if it's got a good label, the product probably tastes crappy. That's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty freaking good. So not only does it pass the label test, it tastes phenomenal. And tell me how you did it. I mean, isn't this an old Warren family recipe?
Yeah, it's well, the pepper, the original pepper is I had a hand in that. I had a hand in all of them, but that was one, kind of, growing up, my parents and father, grandfather, they all, made jerky. That was something that Harry had a leg up on, and then we just developed these other flavors. So it took several months to get all these flavoring right and get the texture and everything right. I don't particularly like the really dried out jerky to where you have to like rip it, pieces off of it, and every time you eat the bag, your jaws are hurting from chewing it up. So I wanted something more moist. I think some of those years of dieting, eating dry chicken and rice, I just don't want to eat dry food anymore. But my number one goal was it had to taste right. Because if it doesn't taste right, he's going to eat something that doesn't taste good. So I wanted it to be very original and it tastes very well. I wanted it to be tender, moist, and then the third thing, I wanted to be healthy. Coming from my background, I didn't want a ton of sodium, a bunch of sugar and carbs and stuff in it. I think we achieved all areas. Hit our goal.
Yeah, you hit it for sure. So for me, the test is I can like something, but my wife, she's not. She works out, but she's not big into the fitness regime like some of us. So whenever I give her a product to test out, I know that it's good if she likes it. And I think she stole 3 of my bags to take to work with her. So you got a fan in her, which tells me that you're doing something right. So kudos there. But it's not only just beef jerky. You got turkey, bacon, and the flavors are phenomenal too. I'm a spicy guy, so the fact that you have a jalapeno one I love that, and the sriracha one too. But I mean, I haven't seen flavors like this for most common beef jerkies. So it seems like you got a pretty good lineup, and it's going to give people a great variety to choose from, whether or not they want something smoky, something sweet, something spicy, or something of that nature.
Well, that's it. We want to stand out. I want the flavors to be really good, and I want us to stand out. That's it's hard to do in a market like that because it's so saturated with so many different jerky companies. But I want it to be something that really stood out, and from the packaging all the way to, most importantly, the flavoring and the texturing. So we just had a meeting this morning. We got some other original, innovative products coming out. So hopefully in the next 3 months we'll have those, start rolling those out for the holiday seasons, and got some really cool stuff. I can't tell you what it is yet, but some pretty innovative stuff we're doing, and it's going to be good.
Well, I was going to ask, but since you said you can't tell me, I won't. But so here's the thing too. You know that nowadays, every week there seems to be a new protein bar or a cookie or a protein brownie, some sort of marketed functional food for fitness-minded individuals. And they keep flooding through the sports nutrition and functional foods market. But one of the things that I love about Wicked Cuts is that you've created a cleaner functional food that's not just for bodybuilders or health-minded individuals, but this markets and appeals to everyday people who simply want a snack that tastes good.
Yeah.
As competitors, we know that whole food beats out any type of protein bar supplements, but Wicked Cuts is actually a whole food because it's essentially protein in its rawest form and just dried out meat. So it offers the convenience of a protein bar or a grab-and-go food. Tastes great. It's real food. So my question for you is, did you recognize this issue in the industry, and did that somewhat help inspire you to bring a better functional food to the market?
I think it's a combination of things. Coming from my background and the bodybuilding background, I wanted something that, okay, if I was still competing, and I'm still a bodybuilder, man. I still train, I still eat the same way, all that. So I want something, okay, number one, I want something I could use and eat myself and stay in shape. And, I want it to be a functional food, but I want it to appeal not just to the fitness community. I want it to appeal to, hunters, fishermen, truck drivers, anybody who, maybe, it's people that aren't all that health conscious, but they just want a good, a great tasting jerky. And by the way, it absolutely be good for you too. And I think we hit it on the mark. I think I had a lot of criteria I wanted to meet. I think we hit it on the mark, so it'll appeal to, if you're an athlete, you're health minded or health conscious, it's a perfect fit. If you're just on a road trip and you're hungry, it'll kill your craving and give you some good quality protein.
It's just a great grab and go snack too. I mean, that's the problem with some of the bars nowadays is if, let's say that you're on the road or for whatever reason you don't have a meal prepared with you or you can't find a replacement, well, if you go to a gas station, I mean, you can grab a protein bar, but you're going to be looking at an extra 10 grams of fat, maybe 30, 40 grams of carbs, when really you don't want that. You just kind of need something to tide you over. And this is definitely a great option for people. And Wicked Cuts is off to a phenomenal start, and I can genuinely say that it tastes better than so many other jerkies on the market. And we're going to review it on our video channel here pretty soon. So we'll have a video up on YouTube for everyone to take a look at it and see our live taste test for each flavor. And for everyone listening, I highly recommend that you give Wicked Cuts a try. On the website, you can grab a variety sample pack, which gives you a few different options to try out, like we just talked about a little bit ago. So, Branch, other than the reasons that you just talked about a moment ago, why should people choose Wicked Cuts over other beef jerkies?
I think one bite and you'll agree it's the best jerky out there. It's, I mean, I know that sounds a little cocky, but it's true. I've, I haven't approached anybody who tried it and didn't like it. So I think it is healthy. The flavoring is out of this world. Whether you like, spicy or peppered or Korean barbecue or maple, whatever it is, sweet. We've got a flavor that'll guarantee you'll like. You can try it out. If you don't believe me, try it out. Go to wickedcuts.co, order some today.
Yep, and it definitely gets the PricePlow stamp of approval. You listeners, you know that we don't give that out to everything, just the stuff that we genuinely think is good. Branch, one question for you here before we get close to wrapping up. Anytime we have a guest on, I just like to ask maybe for a parting thought of wisdom, if you will. And someone like Branch Warren doesn't reach the levels of success that you have by accident or by luck. You epitomize the vision of hard work, and I think anyone has seen you train in person or on YouTube or heck, even on Generation Iron, knows that you work your butt off to be the best. If you can offer any words of advice to competitors or other entrepreneurs in this day and age, what would be some parting words of wisdom you can give our listeners?
Man, be consistent. For competitors, be consistent. Have a clear vision of where you want to go, what you're trying to achieve, and then be consistent with your training and be consistent with your nutrition, especially for competitors. You can't miss workouts. You got to stick to it. It's a marathon, and nutrition is probably 70% of the equation, maybe even more. And that's the hard part. Is doing that nutrition plan every day, day in and day out, year after year. I think that's the biggest thing I see is. I see a lot of great physiques out there, potentially great physiques, and they don't have the discipline to stay consistent with their training and their nutrition. There's no individual sports. People think, oh, bodybuilding's an individual sport. No, it's not. It's just like NASCAR. NASCAR, you got the driver, he drives the car, he crosses the finish line, wins a race, he gets all the fame and accolades and all that. But without that pit crew, dude, he ain't never even making it to the race. And bodybuilding's the same way, man. So you got to have some family, wife, spouse, friends, trainers, whatever the case may be, to on your team, have a solid team behind you, so that you can go out there and you can be your best.
Absolutely.
That's the best advice I can give you.
Well, listeners, go check out Wicked Cuts Jerky on Instagram. That's Wicked Cuts with a Z Jerky. Follow them on Facebook. And Branch, if people want to follow you, learn more about you, or get any more information about you, where should they go to do that?
And go to The Branch Warren on Instagram and Facebook, and got all kinds of see what kind of crazy stuff I'm up to and doing. And you go to my webpage, www.thebranchwarren.com, and I've always got some latest, greatest updates, what's going on. I've got an online store. My full line of Gasp clothing is also on there, as well as links to all my sports expos and also to, of course, Wicked Cuts and Black Skull.
Perfect. Well, Branch, thanks for your time. We're excited to get this video review up for Wicked Cuts so we can show everybody what the product looks like and how we like it. I think you and I are scheduled to train tomorrow afternoon, and you're going to show me how a champion trains. But what muscle group are we going to hit?
We're doing back, I believe.
Oh, that's perfect. I'm sure you're going to try to kill me, but I'm looking forward to the challenge anyway. My dad used to tell me, similar to what we were talking about earlier, if you want to be a millionaire, then you should spend time with millionaires. And I think to develop the best physique possible, you likewise need to spend time with a champion such as yourself to figure out, best practices and learn what the mentality is and what it takes to be a champion. So I'm looking forward to that.
That's very true, man. The most successful man I've ever known, he gave me the same advice when I was a young man. He said, if you want to be a champion bodybuilder, you need to associate with champions. And he said, if you want to be successful in business, you need to associate with successful businessmen and whatever it is you choose to do in life. And He said, if there's something in life you love to do and you can figure out how to make a living doing it, then you never work. And he was very much 100% on the mark with his advice.
Amen to that, brother. All right, PricePlow, don't forget to subscribe to Branch and Wicked Cuts on Instagram, Facebook, and whatever other social media platform exists these days. Check out his website too. Branch, it's been an honor talking with you. Hopefully we can get you back on here again in the future, especially once Wicked Cuts launches some new products.
Matt, I look forward to it, and I'll see you tomorrow at Metroflex.
All right, brother. That sounds good.
Welcome to PricePlow.